It can be really hard to fit in your art every day. I know, I'm a busy mom. I have 5 kids and a full-time job and a bunch of pets, and it just can be crazy. Life can get in the way really, really easily. However, I just barely hit my 50th day of doing daily art. In this video, I want to tell you about the 5 things that I've learned over the past 50 days that have made the biggest difference of helping me to actually integrate my art into my daily life instead of it fighting my daily life, which it was doing a lot, where I would either feel guilty for spending too much time on my art and not spending enough time with my kids, especially when working a full-time job. It's really difficult to balance and keep everybody happy and feel like you're doing a good job in all the areas. And I would feel resentment even then against my family or other things that were taking my energy, like my job even at times, because it was taking me away from my art. So it's really been so important to find a way that both parts of my life, nurturing my art and creativity, can also live in harmony with having a full-time job and being a mom and a wife. So here's those 5 tips. So tip number 1 is that I have given myself a 15-minute rule. So even if I can only get in 15 minutes of my art every day, I call it enough. So that has made the barrier of entry into getting some art into my day just so much easier. So if you are trying to learn a musical instrument, or you're trying to write a book, or you're trying to grow a side business or whatever it might be, and you're juggling a lot of things in your life, that can be a good way to get started and just build up the habit. Because often you'll spend more than 15 minutes working on your art, but it's also just a great way to start building that muscle. Because sometimes what happens is we dream of that elusive 2-hour block when we're going to be able to really enjoy our art and lean in. We're going to be just flowing with creativity. It's going to be amazing. But if you're anything like me, what would happen when I finally snagged one of those elusive blocks, was it even ever really 2 hours? Probably less than that. But whenever I would snag one of those times when finally everybody was doing their thing and I had some extra time, then suddenly the creativity would be gone. And instead of feeling inspired and energized, I would just stare at the blank page and feel intimidated and dumb, and oftentimes even go and do something else instead. So when you do that 15 minutes a day and you start building that muscle, that even a little bit of art, even if you don't feel like it, even if you don't feel inspired and creative, it helps get your body and your brain on board with what to do when you sit down to the blank page or to the piano or to whatever you're working on. Okay, so I just got done getting ready, and now because I gotta get to work here in a bit, but I'm hoping that I have time that I can quickly lay down some paint on my latest project. So I've gotta open all the windows, get the natural light in here, and then we're ready to go. The second tip is you're really just trying to build a habit here. And so having a consistent time of day can do wonders. And this isn't always possible. This was really difficult for me to claim as well in my life for a while. That's why I've only got 50 days of a streak instead of a lot more than that, because I've had my full-time job and it's been tricky to find that consistent time every day. The best way that I've found to find that consistent time each day is to do that habit stacking type of technique, where you're pairing your new habit with something you're already doing, or it happens right after that. So I used to have the habit of, as soon as I was done with cleaning up the kitchen after dinner, that's when I would go, and I would even set my timer sometimes for 15 minutes and just get down, draw something, paint something for a minute, throw some paint on a paper, even just anything to get that habit built. What I've been doing lately, I would say I wasn't ready for in the beginning, and it took time to build into this, but I started to recognize that my most quiet, peaceful parts of the day were often earlier than everybody else was waking up. Now, I know this isn't great news for you if you don't love mornings, or if you, I heard it forever too, and I was like, please Please don't tell me to wake up earlier than everyone else. That cannot be the answer. But I will say, like, that is definitely how I got the 50-day streak, because I had been doing consistent art before the 50 days. Even though the beginning after I got my job, it was tricky. I think I did it like once or twice a week was when I would get in some art. But then I was finding some times and I was trying to be consistent, like the after dinner time. I found that after dinner, I was tired. I was done with the day. I was over it. And so then to try to sit down and feel really good in art, it didn't always work for me. And so it's worked so much better for me to wake up earlier and to get going. So my goal is to get to my art desk around 6 a.m. and then do some art until about 8 a.m. And then that's when I take my kids to school, get breakfast, and then get myself to work by 9. So that's worked really well. Now, if you have little kids, that's going to be trickier to do. Little kids schedule or early risers, it's trickier at that timing. And so just give yourself grace. Whatever season of life you're in, just honor it. I think back to when my kids were really little, I was so hard on myself. I thought I should have it way more together than I did or felt like I did. I could see all these other young moms that looked like they were just killing it and they could fit everything in and still look gorgeous, fabulous, all at the same time. And that was not my experience. I felt like I was a mess during that period. And I felt like even though I had really good routines with my kids, or tried to, I mean, kids go through phases. And now that my kids are teenagers, I can see this way more clearly. Like, it's just hard when your kids are little. So if you've got kids, give yourself some grace. I'll make another video about that though for you if that's something that you struggle with. Just let me know in the comments if that's something you'd like to hear more on. So what happens when you find a consistent moment of the day and you're able to really show up for that over and over again is that your body starts to anticipate and expect it. I don't think I really felt that until probably day 30. Like, it took a little while for my body to get used to it. And there were a lot of mornings where I showed up to my desk and I didn't really feel inspired. And so I'd have to turn on some music or be messy for a minute. And it was a muscle. I really had to build that muscle. But then now it's so easy to wake up and get creative and get right into art. In fact, you'll see in a minute how I woke up this morning, how I have so much energy and so much excitement, and like the world is my oyster because I felt amazing in the morning. And then night happened and I lost the enthusiasm, but it's because my body is used to that. It's excited and ready to create. This is a really good thing because a lot of what stops us from being creative and making something or trying something new and building a habit or a skill is the gremlins in our head. And so we have all sorts of stories and excuses and what seem like really good reasons why we can't do what we really want to do. And so those gremlins, they get really weak and they don't show up as much when you're in a habit, when your body's just like, we're doing this. Like, I hit a really pivotal moment in my creative practice when I just realized after a really bad art day, it was one of those days where everything I drew, everything I painted, I absolutely hated. It felt like I was wasting my time. Nobody's gonna want what I have to offer. I was telling all of those horrible stories to myself. And after that day, I just went up to bed. I was cranky and grumpy and just laid there and was so mad and upset and hurt and grieving that this dream of this creative lifestyle and what I want to make was dying because I sucked, right? It's so funny looking back right now, but it was so serious and so real. And I know a lot of you can relate. Let me know if you can relate. It can't just be me that has those days. But I realized something so important after that. I realized that no matter how I felt in that moment, I was going to keep trying. And I realized I was never going to stop trying with this creative practice. And that liberated me. It helped me see that the bad days weren't the end. It helped me build confidence in myself that if I got stuck, I would think through it. I would figure it out. I would find a mentor, look for a book, watch a YouTube video, or do something, and I would inspire myself to get out of it, or I would find a way out of it. And that really shifted things a lot for my practice. So getting rid of those gremlins or making it so that story isn't quite as intense every time you go to create can be a really big deal, and it can really help you. It's been huge for me. All right, so here's the piece that I'm working, and I drew it all out on Saturday, and then I did the masking fluid over it, which is just going to protect the whites of the paper. And then I'm going to lay down all that heavy, pretty blue paint. So let's get going. So the third tip has to do with also getting rid of your gremlins. And that is when you feel blocked or stuck, or like you're hating it, or you don't want to do your creative thing, or you're feeling like you hate life, whatever it might be, take it to your journal. So this is my journal. This also changed my life. I use a legal pad, so it is, in my mind, it's not pretty paper. I don't care about, it's pretty rough and loose. This allows me to just vomit out the gremlins onto the page so that I can rant about the story in my head and that's keeping me stuck, and I can actually see it more clearly when it's on the page. And then that helps me to coach myself out of those bad feelings and limiting stories. So this has been huge and a great strategy for journaling. I learned from The Artist's Way. I know this is a vintage ancient copy, but it's a really, really good book. I highly recommend it if you haven't seen it, or if you just need a refresher. I pull it out probably at least once a year. It's so helpful. But she teaches the practice of doing morning pages. And morning pages is where you just go in and you free write for 1.5 to 2 pages every day. And it just totally can liberate you from any of those gremlins and stories in your head. So this morning, I had some gremlins showing up. And so I journaled them down first. I have been loving and going through it now a second time. Aimee McNee's book, We Need Your Art. This book should be on your bookshelf or in your audio library. If you do nothing else, get this book in your hands. It is so empowering and inspiring. And when those gremlins start to speak up really loudly and you want to quit this dream you have or this thing you want to create, this is a great book to help you ground back in and do it. So she's got great journaling questions every chapter. So I also ran through some of those this morning in my journal as well. By the time I was done, my energy was elated. I was so energized and excited and ready to have fun, which you'll see in my video of this morning and my art process today. I am obsessed with this shadow violet color right now. It's this lovely purple that kind of has these pinks and other pretty colors in it. So I know I really want that color. I am tempted by some Payne's Gray. I am obsessed with indigo, and then this perylene green. I think these are the zones that I'm the happiest in. See how that shadow violet, you've got some blues and pinks and purples in it. It's such a neat color. So I want the background of the cover to be super, super dark so that I can write on it with white ink. I think that's what we're gonna wanna go for. And honestly, it might need a second coat. So I'm gonna let this sit and dry, and then we'll come back and see if that's in the zone of what we want for the back. My fourth tip is to use some sort of habit tracking. So I love this habit tracker app on my phone. It is a really inexpensive app, and it's like the magic that a lot of people have experienced with a Duolingo streak, where you are on such a high because you've hit 50 days or 30 days and you just can't go without doing it. I have been, for example, journaling my dreams every night. As soon as I wake up, I just put them into my notes app, and I've been tracking that also in my habits app. And I think I'm on day 400 now. So I'm never quitting. I'm gonna keep doing it because that streak is amazing. And it's the same with my art. Now that I've hit a 50-day streak, my commitment to myself and what I'm trying to create is so much stronger than it would be otherwise. Using the app feels a little bit better to me than if I've tried to track it in a paper journal. I actually started the year trying to track this in a paper journal. And I love paper. I'm an artist. I'm going to draw and color all over it. But could I keep my habits on it and keep myself excited about it? Surprisingly, no. So a habit app changed the game. So my goal of painting the cover really dark, like I said, I want to use white font on top of it. So I need it to be able to show up really well. But I kind of want it subtly to be like so dark you'd almost think it's like midnight or even black, kind of a really deep, deep blue. But I want when you look closer at it for it to have lots of little texture and nuances of color. Am I asking too much? Maybe, but that's kind of the vision. So we'll see if I can do it. Cross your fingers for me. So here's where we landed. There's still a few parts that haven't dried, but you can see it's actually got some good color variation. There's some green kind of showing up, a little bit of the pink and purple. It's a lot easier to see in real life, but this will give you an idea. This is still too light though to be able to put white text on it. Okay, already I'm really liking this. Okay, this is dry now, and yes, I think we're there. I think that's the level of darkness it needs to be. So good. So sadly, I didn't get to be able to paint the real painting right back here before getting to work. I was hoping to lay down all that blue color before I left, but I realized it would be super stressful to do that if I didn't do the test. So I'm glad I did the test. And I think that's gonna help me enjoy my workday a little bit more. Oh, there's my kitty. So that I can relax during my workday, know that when I get home, then I can throw down that paint and I know exactly which colors I'm gonna use. So not a total loss of a morning at all. It was fun also to play. And I am excited to get home and lay down that color. It's gonna be really fun. I'll bring you along. The final tip is you really have to get out of all the shoulds. The big shoulds that would keep me from creating were it's the wrong time of day. It's the wrong lighting to paint. It's the wrong whatever, and it should be this time of day, or my desk should be more like this, or I should get more of these types of brushes. Like I would should all over myself, and it was stinky and gross, right? And it totally held me back from actually creating. So today, when I got home from work, I was all jazzed. I thought I was gonna get right to my easel and get painting what I had started this morning. And I had a good day at work, but we are dealing with some really tough things at work right now. And so when I got home, I was just really tired. I did not have the energy to get to my easel. I was avoiding it. And so I just decided, you know what, it's okay. And even a lot of days, I won't force myself to do more art. If I've already done my 15 minutes at some point in the day, that's enough. But I really want to get back to this piece, and I want what I'm painting tonight to be dry and ready so that I can do more fun stuff on it tomorrow morning. So I'm gonna paint, and it's gonna be dark, and it's not gonna be as pretty and as perfect conditions as it would have been if I was having natural light. And this has actually been a block that I've had to overcome with working so early in the mornings as well. It means I'm using a lot of unnatural light to paint my watercolors, which I used to really care about that. And I used to worry that it would mess things up and people would be able to tell the difference and my art wouldn't be as beautiful. And now I'm just seeing it was all a story because it doesn't matter that much. Maybe at some point it will, but at this point in my life, it's more important to create consistently. And so I've had to just eliminate that specific should of ideal time of day, ideal lighting from how I create. And it's totally liberated me. So what are the shoulds that are holding you back? What are the shoulds that you think the right circumstances, the perfect scenarios that are holding you back because you're not finding a lot of them in your everyday life. That is where I think just finding some cracks, finding some 15 minutes that you can do consistently can make a huge difference. So I hope these tips were valuable. I hope you feel inspired, like you can fit a little bit more of your creativity and building something that you desire into your busier life. There's definitely been seasons of my life where it's been more difficult and even maybe impossible. And those seasons have been hard, but they've also ended, and I've found little ways to bring it back into my life. So I hope that above all, that you leave this video feeling inspired to see what little way you can work creating into your lifestyle, because it matters. Your creativity matters. You feeling alive because you're doing something that's inspiring you matters too. And it will make a lot of parts of your life even more rich if you can figure out how to get even more of your creativity and your dream building into your everyday life.